So my name is Tom Slack. I'm a performance analyst at Swindon Borough Council, and I'm going to give a quick talk on business intelligence and analytics, specifically using Power BI with CXM. So part of my role at Swindon Borough Council is to pretty much analyse all the data that comes through on Jadu My Account, and from that produce actual insight that highlights areas of continuous improvement that complements our overall digital strategy. I utilise data for performance indicators, undertake trend analysis by producing various reports for various audiences really, so service area leads, members, directors and just other key stakeholders. I review and share the benchmarking data and case studies to identify opportunities to improve our service productivity and performance. I'm able to produce detailed narratives and provide insight into the customer service and the service area performance, specifically highlighting any potential stumbling blocks towards our ambition of having 85% of our transactions online by 2020. So I will try to illustrate how Jadu CXM is very structured. Aside from delivering an intuitive customer experience, it actually helps us to reduce calls and face-to-face customer contact. It allows me to report at a granular level, and it actually enables me to follow the whole trail of interaction from beginning to end and pinpoint areas for service area improvement. And as a result, it helps me to tailor-make reports for service area leads. So most local authorities have already made the majority of easy-to-implement cost efficiencies and savings. There's now a call for a different type of strategy. Now there's a need to transform through the digitising the delivery of the citizen services. A huge appetite for many savings through channel shift. So serving customers through online methods instead of more costly face-to-face and over the phone. So with this needs comes the need to reassess our tools and ask, do we currently have the foundations in place to do this? There must be a detail to the digital strategy that takes into consideration the needs and the priorities of local government. It's important to adopt a channel shift approach that recognises the demand to still have a face-to-face customer offer, but that each service area needs to be made to deliver cost-quality benefits through the use of technology. We no longer want to simply carbon copy our customer offer in forms, I think we mentioned earlier, e-forms, because this just simply moves bottlenecks elsewhere. We need to sit down with our service area leads, learn our key metrics from stakeholders, and deduce what insight is good insight. Then we must think of the most time and cost-efficient way that our analysis can inform those guys either on the ground or those guys making the decisions. This really comes in the form of, well, the purpose of it is to drive that continuous improvement I mentioned earlier, but also deliver the better service towards our customers, focusing on back office setup and specifically look at what data we're actually capturing in that process. So where are we as a council? So for 2017, we answered on average 25,000 calls a month. For the same period, we saw on average 3,000 customers regarding specific services. So this doesn't include casual callers or footfall for our receptions. And we aim to have 85% of our transactions online by 2020. As part of this target and ambitions to reach this goal, we switched to Jadu CXM. In 18 months, we have made over 60 processes live. It is more important than ever to have a system in place that produces data output that people like myself can work with and help change and drive that continuous improvement. We need to reassess how and what data we are capturing to ensure the foundation in place for analysts to develop informed and in-depth reports that are targeting the right areas to drive the change. If we have a CRM, which is our previous one, that was in place from 2007, we really need to start asking the questions whether is the data we were capturing there, is it fantastic for future targets or only the past outdated targets? So the environment has changed, budgets have changed, customers have changed, and as has the expectations in regards to customer experience. Not only does this have ramifications on performance analysis, but also the what, the why, and the how when it comes to capturing data. So our previous CRM was great, but like I said, as the environment changes, so must the tools that you use. So you can see here, this is the fields captured by our previous CRM. And I joined Swindon Borough Council in March last year, and I started being asked questions such as how many graffiti cases were reported in West Swindon, or how many missed bins have been logged online. You can see here from a data reporting point of view, it's not really ideal. There's not much fluidity. It's quite rigid. I can't really, flex with it at all. I could get our data science guys to write business objects reports that would capture more information that was originally captured in our forms. But this is quite a time-heavy process, and I can't really afford to do it every time an ad hoc request comes in. So I'll show you what I do with my Jadu filter setup. Along the top, I've got all of my filters set up for particular reports. So here you've got miscollections. So as you saw from the previous slide, I was very limited in what fields I could pull through and eventually analyze. So with this, as you can see, I'm pulling through all the fields that are relevant to our miscollections form. And what this means is that I can guarantee stakeholders that any analysis I deliver is fully informed of all of that data we originally captured in the form. So we're not capturing anything for the sake of capturing it. So all the reports that I deliver has confidence. And it also, if there is anything that we feel when we sit down with the stakeholders that we may want to capture in the future, I can sit with the build team and adjust the reports to further capture and inform that report even better.
So Tom, just a quick question. For those of you who've not seen CXM4, this is a filter you've created.
Yeah.
And filters can be shared across your customer service team, but this is one that you've created for miscollections.
Yeah, the one to the left of it is actually one that we share across our customer service team for those who need access to it, and that's the complaints, comments, and compliments. Yeah. So all people have access to that can just go into it, and they're just seeing the fields that they need to see when they want to look at complaints, comments, and compliments.
And those little black tabs, those are your filter rules, aren't they? And you can just add as many filter rules as you want, which allows you to refine data and drill really
exactly
deep.
And that's what I've done in those other instances at the top. So the parishes one, I've got kind of overall data, but I'm pulling in those fields that relate to parishes, so I can have that analytical breakdown there. And same for FOI at the end. And all I do when I do my reporting, because my filters are all set up, I simply go in and change that date parameter and hit download, and it saves a lot of time. So once I have this data, I actually analyze it in Power BI, which I will go into a demo with at the end. So when it comes to data organization, Excel's like pivot tables and formulas are probably close to being the #1 programming language. And it is very powerful. I build data models with it quite regularly. But a lot of the tools that you use with Excel aren't necessarily part of Excel's interface. So this means there's quite many steps involved, and all those steps are disconnected. But with Power BI, you can connect and import the necessary data, which would be this, and a few other things that I incorporate, including like postcodes, parish data from other data sources. I can adjust and shape the data to fit my needs, rename columns, tables, changing the text and numbers, re-editing rows, all in Power BI's query editor, so all in one place. And this enables me to create unique reports, analysis that will only really enhances my BI strategy. So I'll go back into the live demo now. So this is something we're quite proud of at Swindon Borough Council, actually. This is a report, a dashboard that's on our intranet. So all SPC member staff can access it. And it's great for a few reasons. It's all well and good having like monthly meetings when you try to engage your employees in how close you are to targets, things like that. But if they can go on the intranet and slice and dice the data themselves, I think they'll feel a lot more engaged and connected to overall corporate strategy. So I'll start with our summary, which is this icon at the bottom. So this is capturing all of the data that's coming in through my account. You can see in the bottom left, so for the month of February, we had 41.7% of our transactions were online, and that was 1,903. So we still had 2,660 that were coming through traditional channels. You cannot see that. Then on the box on the right, all of our processes we have live. So at the moment, they're all appearing because we haven't sliced yet to show a certain service area. So I'm going to act as a waste and recycling stakeholder. So I've come in at the summary report. You can see at the top, 1,026 waste and recycling phone calls. And let's say we want to see what's behind this number, what's really driving that in that month. We can slice this filter to show waste and recycling. In here, we are having all of those processes that relate to waste and recycling. As you see at the top there, 292 of them are phone for new replacement bin lids. I won't go into too much of this one because this one seems very seasonal, but missed collections I will, because for me, missed collections is something that is probably going to be one of the last ones you really have a successful channel shift on, because people often want to pick up the phone and they get quite emotional and want to know exactly when their bin is going to be collected. So let's say we want to know if this 220 missed collections logged by phone is higher than last month or lower. So we can go into a bit more detail by clicking on our waste and recycling tracker. So this would show data which is purely on waste and recycling. And you can see there that on the bottom left, waste and recycling, we had 46.5% customers online. This is showing all of the cases over time for waste and recycling, but we're purely interested in missed collections. So you can see here we're 455 for February. Nowhere near as many as January and Christmas, but of course there's a bit of seasonality in there with bad weather, it being Christmas, and no matter how well you try and communicate changing collection dates, you're always going to see a rise in missed bin collections in this period. But nonetheless, it's still higher than November. So quite often, when we look at case counts like this, service areas may want to see if bottlenecks are being appearing elsewhere. Is this having an impact on our complaints process, for example? So we'll have a quick look at our complaints report. So this is showing all of our customer complaints that have come through for February. So waste and recycling at the top with 56. And using data from CXM, I'm able to build in a bit of compliance data in there as well, or a bit of a breakdown. So you see 56 for waste and recycling, 52 of them are in the stage 1 process, and 32 of that 52 were responded to and closed within 10 days, 1 above 10 and so on. But we're interested in waste and recycling, so we can change it to waste and recycling. So 56 waste and recycling. We want to know how many of these complaints can be attributed to the service failure, potentially service failure, of missed bins. So like I say, of those 56 complaints, just short of 40% of them were down to the missed bins, so 22 in total. So this is great. Now service areas know the story. They can see how they got to this point, but let's say they want to stop it happening next month, the next month. Is there anything they can do at a granular level, staff management-wise, to stop this happening in the future? So this is where I mentioned at the start, able to tailor-make reports at that lower level. And this is our missed collections tracker. So this map here is logging all of our missed collections complaints. The bigger the circle, the more complaints have happened in that area. And this graph at the top shows the breakdown by report type. So we've got wheelie bins, recycling boxes. And here has the ward breakdown. So it's showing the whole of Swindon split by area. And we're able to quickly, straight away, seeing which are the problematic areas. And again, we can slice this. So let's look at Priory Vale in more detail, which is an area of Swindon. And we can see here that Priory Vale's primary problem is wheelie bins. So if we want to go engage in that in further detail, we can. And here you can see a large area over there. And what staff, service area leads can do with this information, they can identify who were allocated to be on those rounds for the month of February and really start to look at things at that granular level, like I mentioned, and start to staff management. So we can kind of already see how we can channel shift and customer experience aren't mutually exclusive. You can, whilst you are driving that channel shift, you can really improve that customer experience as well. And we can see that of those 21 missed collections in Priory Vale that were wheelie bins, 18 in total collection was complete, and 3 were closed collection. Another element I think should be stressed is the gamification aspect as well that can happen across some service areas. So if every SPC employee can access this, they can actually see how their colleagues' areas are also performing in terms of either channel shift or customer experience. So in less than 10 minutes, we've assessed all of the requests for service that go into the council, identified one that was particularly high in the unfavourable channel of phone, being waste and recycling. And we've looked at not only that it was miscollections, but also the actual areas of towns, the report types, where these missed bins are stemming from. So how have we been performing with channel shift so far? Calendar year to date, our calls are down 13.4% year on year. And for the same period, face-to-face down 23% year on year. 42% of our Jadu cases are now being logged online. And we've just gone through our garden waste renewal sign-up period. 73% of these have been logged online, compared to the same period last year at 59. So a 14-point swing there year on year. So that's good stuff. So to summarise, with the correct digital strategy in CXM, we can fully digitise our customer offer without any trade-off in the quality of the customer experience. We can identify cost savings in the form of both channel shift and minimise the margin for service failure. Channel shift is the way forward for digitalisation, but only if we can report flexibly and at a granular level. Sitting with key stakeholders, we can tailor-make pivotal and engaging Power BI reports, utilise data from various sources that suit the demands and needs of that service area. After learning the service area, learning seasonality and the cyclical changes, we can drive channel shift change whilst identifying areas of failure, thus supporting our drive towards having 85% of our transactions online by 2020. Thanks for listening.